Why, hello there, a nice tale here. I hope this video finds you well today and provides some level of entertainment, and as long as it doesn't make your day worse, pretty much, I'm happy. And let me know if it does make your day worse somehow. I don't know how that would work, but I'd be curious to find out how I managed it. So, yeah, leave that down in the comments. Consider liking and subscribing to support a small channel, right? That can't even talk. Why wouldn't you want to watch that, right? No, yeah, right. I'm not making a good case for myself, but hopefully this will change that. This is a summary of a knife I've done a full review on. It's for a shorter version of instead of the full review with the specs. You can find that down in the description, as well as a link to the knife itself. But we're trying to keep things a little bit more brief here. So, this is the Tenable knives, which is a subsidiary brand of Concept. Their budget line, basically. This is the Tenable Tipper, it's called. In fact, it says it right there. I don't necessarily like that Concept loves putting the name and the code of their knives on their knives, but whatever, it's a budget knife. Well, not this one, but we'll get to that. This is an edgy Bladeworks design. He is a custom maker. He likes to experiment with blade shapes, clearly. Definitely the most interesting thing here, even though it's made up of this ripple Damascus, I'd say the blade shape is even more interesting. And the ripple Damascus does not hurt, right? So, what are we looking at? A steel-framed, skeletonized liner lock with Ultim scales with this Damascus on bearings. It has a deep carry pocket clip, and it is thumb stud action. Pretty straightforward, right? Tons of knives out there like that, tons of budget knives out there like that. What does this one, aside from this blade shape, do to set itself apart? Well, while it's not the smoothest action, it has some pretty dang good action. Very snappy. Very good fit and finish, right? The Ultim is finished very nicely. It is surprisingly comfortable, and this blade shape is surprisingly useful. Did I say that? I don't even know what I said anymore. Tenable logo right there. Edgy Bladeworks logo right there. The blade, while it is not, it's kind of ground on an angle, so it's mostly flat ground. It gets down to a reasonably thin, actually pretty thin edge, especially right up in here. Very good at cutting. The secondary tip is useful. The primary tip is good for piercing, and it's got some extra strength there. I mean, it's sort of a weird, big, wonky Tonto kind of thing, right? The humps, there's no jimping on this, but the humps do provide a platform for you to sit that is surprisingly comfortable and ergonomic and useful, honestly. Pretty sharp spine, too. Like, yeah, you could shave your fingernail with that one. So I don't know if that has any value to anybody, but you can do it. Right? As I said, Ripple Damascus, it's probably like a 9CR, 10CR, or a VG10 Damascus. That seems to be what you find in the budget territory. There is a mono steel version of this that does technically fall under the budget territory. This particular version does not. That tends to be what happens once you put even budget Damascus on there, right? It shoots up the price just a bit. But blade shape, useful. Thumb stud actuation. No jimping, but doesn't really need it, especially considering most knives nowadays that seem to come out have jimping that doesn't do anything, so why bother? No need for it. The liner lock access is quite nice, extremely cut back. It is rounded and softened, but because of all the room they give you, it really doesn't matter. It's pretty easy to actuate. Of course, the Ultim is not going to be for everyone. In fact, it's not really for me, but I wanted to see what this Damascus looked like in person. The Ultim scales here are textured. I never really even took this thing apart. I probably should have just cleaned it out. That looks like a little bit of oil or something in there. But, yeah, I do prefer the standard variants coming in G10s or micartas. There are options, but those, of course, don't have this blade. So I basically took the bullet for you. Right? I mean, if this stands out and you like it, I mean, it's certainly a statement, right? The ergos. Even though it seems a little angular and almost blocky, it's very well-rounded and fits the hand pretty darn well, actually. I was quite pleasantly surprised, especially with this relatively tall, deep carry clip. It goes down this far into your pocket approximately. It's got good retention, just a continuous rise, so it actually works in and out pretty darn well. Flat screws, it is reversible. But I was kind of worried when I saw how tall it was. However, honestly, in my hands at the very least, I of course can't account for everyone, it almost disappears. It's really, really well placed. I'm not sure how they did that, but I mean, it's there, but it's super comfortable. And yeah, no complaints actually on that one, which is pretty nice, considering it is a relatively large clip. G10 backspacer. I already talked about the skeletonization. They could have gotten a bit more blade length in here if they had milled out this backspacer or not brought it around as far as they did. They could probably have gotten a good, like, almost, what is that, quarter of an inch maybe? Maybe? I'm not going to use the end because we can't see what this is, but how about from the inch? A little less than a quarter of an inch in there, extended back out. That'd have been nice, but, I mean, this aesthetic and the way it's all styled, it doesn't feel mismatched or inappropriately, like, blade to handle ratio. It doesn't feel too bad, is what I'm trying to say, and failing miserably. As I said, the Tenable tipper comes in this variant, which is $89, I believe, so not budget. However, all the other variants, as far as I know, are between, I think I've seen $69, but most of them are at $72. So just squeaking in that budget territory, but they are budget knives, and they're well made. Concept has been doing some interesting designs, and everything I've seen from them recently has been pretty darn solid overall. So yeah, this is actually pretty recommendable despite this strange shape. I mean, you can definitely use it in a lot of different ways, and it cuts quite well. So yeah, I think that's everything I really have to say for the tipper here. It's recommendable. It's good. Oh, wonderful sharpening tool and plunge gun. Just want to get that out there. That thing is back and high, giving you a ton of life, and the stop pin hits way back on the full thickness of the tang back here, so you can definitely, in fact, it hits right there where that mark is. You can definitely expand that as you need, should you so choose. I mean, that's probably all the life you're going to need out of the blade anyway once you get up way up there, but you can keep going, I suppose, if you want to push a relatively... Actually, how thick is this blade stock? This one always throws me off. It looks thick, but I remember actually measuring and it wasn't too bad. Yeah, it's only 120 thousandths, I guess. For some reason, every time I look at this thing, I want to say like 140 thousandths blade stock. It's actually not, but it just, for some reason, to me, appears to be thicker than it is. Overall, it's a good one. Hopefully you enjoyed checking it out and didn't mind my insane rambling. I don't know what's going on today, but I apparently have just crap to say, and none of it means anything. So, I'll end things here. Spare you for more. See you later. Thanks for watching. And I'm out.